Hello, I'm Deb Magelssen, and welcome to MagelssenArt videos. This is number 3 in the series of the Coffee Cup series. This is called Jazzy Java, and what I did here is I took the liberty of tightening up the stripes, and I'm going to add, clean these up a little bit, work on the coffee cup. I took the liberty of covering this up with some white gesso, simply because I thought the lines were a little too tight or too wide, and I want them a little bit tighter. I want them a little softer and not as bold. So let's get to work. I start with some green, light green. I'm just going to work on the stripes here real quick. I'm going to try and finish this painting up today. Got one more to go, and I'll be finished with all 4 of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and see what I'm doing. I'm just bringing this just a little tighter along the edge. Sometimes with acrylic it wants to bleed a little bit, and that's not a bad thing sometimes, but sometimes you want a little tighter edge. I'm just going to go ahead and try and be a little careful. Kind of hard to be careful and work fast at the same time, but you also want to get it done and not take too much time, because then you really tighten up, and that's not always good. I'm kind of going right in here and getting the sides up into the shadow part that I put in that now I don't like. A lot of times too you'll be painting, and after a while you come back and you look and you think, I don't know if I like this or not, or don't like that, and that's why it's so good to take some time and get away from it for a while, come back and look. I went a little too much into that area there, but I'm going to fix that later. I'm not worried about that at all, because with acrylics you can just go back and paint right over. You can do that with watercolor too, so any kind of paint. Just fix what you're doing. Not hard. Okay, so I just cleaned that up a little bit. I'm going to wait for it to dry. And now I'm going to put on some gloves because I want to work on this background. And I'm going to use my fingers, so I'm going to use surgical gloves to cover my hands up. I'm going to be working with some cadmiums and some other paints that can be a little toxic. Sometimes these are inside out. I use them all the time. So, okay, so what I'm going to use here is yellow and some marigold. And I'm just going to cover this up. I'm not going to use any water. I still want to see where my lines are, but I also want to soften this up and cover up what I did. I'm going to use a little green because there's some green in here. That's going to work. Now I'll also come back in and use a little marigold. And so the green will also pick up areas, and that's not always the rule, but I hate sometimes these rules that they tell you to do, that you put color in one spot, you got to put it in another spot. I don't always get that, but I just paint however I want to. So I'll use a little marigold here, right from the tube. I need a little water because I'm going to add just a little liquid here. And it's going to mix in with the white that I already have. I like what's happening here. I can still see my lines, but I've totally covered up the lines that I've wanted to. A little orange over here just to get into this green and soften that green up so it's not so bold. Now I find that there's some orange right along here, and what that does is it just kind of make sure I follow that. So I'm adding a little orange there and I'm blending it in so that it's more blended. I like to have a little more brightness on one side than the other, just to add a little fun. Not that the light has to be coming from a certain spot, because this is basically a very opaque and colorful painting. I'm going to use my brush because I want to take some of this yellow. I want this coffee liquid to be lighter, so I'm going to come in here and lighten that up. I'm using it straight from the tube. I'm actually shaping this liquid too. The shape of it. I want the shape to be larger because this is a large coffee cup. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to start working on the coffee cup now. I don't really need to do too much because I have it pretty much set. But I'm just going to tighten it up again. I'm using Opera. This is very, very bright. And I'm actually going to use it as a highlight. If it's too bright, I'm just going to come back in and tone it down. Part of the process with painting is that you really don't know what's going to happen with the finished project when you get done. And that's what's fun about painting, is that even though you have an idea. Okay, now for the finishing touches, I'm just going to add a little bit of steam. Lines here, and I have them already penciled in, so I just have to copy them, lay in the line. I could have used a thinner brush, but I guess this is okay. Okay, that's it. I'm done. See you next time. Thanks for watching.